Moments of wilderness. The wilderness can be defined as an uncultivated or uninhabited region or a position of disfavor. So when we think of the wilderness, we usually think of an unpleasant place or status because we naturally want prosperity, health, and easygoing times. So even though we may experience times of trials and pressures that test our faith, I am encouraging us, do not worry, because God will meet us even in the wilderness. The reality is that on this journey called life, we will encounter wildernesses from time to time. There are times when our bodies break down and they don't work like they're supposed to. And this can feel like a wilderness season. Sometimes our gadgets break, our phones break, our cars break, and we become so uncomfortable that we feel like we can't make it. And sometimes we lose a job and we have a financial crisis, and that can feel like a wilderness experience. Oftentimes the wilderness occurs inside our hearts and our minds, and it manifests itself into depression and mental health crises. Even as believers, there are times when we feel dry and distant from God and stressed out. I just want to remind all of us that sometimes the Spirit Himself will lead us into the wilderness, just like Jesus was led into the wilderness. So sometimes when we are uncertain, unsure, and in desperate need of direction, God just might be leading us to a wilderness experience. That experience might involve relocation or isolation from friends and family, and sometimes deprivation. Wilderness seasons can be rough and challenging, but don't believe that this circumstance is forever. The wilderness is where God prepares us for the promise He's already prepared for us. The wilderness isn't all about us. It's also about God. God doesn't expect us to understand what He's doing all the time, but He calls us to trust Him in the process. So don't be surprised when you are brought into the wilderness. We must trust God even when our life gets hard. And remember, just as a spiritual high of the mountaintop doesn't last forever, neither does the spiritual temptation or test of the valley last forever either. So don't get too bent out of shape. You won't be in the wilderness forever. And most of all, the same God that created the garden also created the wilderness. May God bless you.